After months of discussion and diplomatic efforts, it seems that Germany has decided to send a squadron of 14 Leopard 2 tanks to Ukraine, and the USA has also agreed to provide a further 50 M1 Abrams tanks. This has yet to be officially confirmed, but the reports from Der Spiegel and Politico suggest that it is true. If so, then this is a very significant development. The Leopard 2 is a highly regarded tank, and as the manufacturer of the Leopard 2, Germany has the final say over which other countries can use it. Nations such as Poland, Lithuania, and Finland have offered to contribute their own Leopard 2 tanks, bringing the total to around 100. This, combined with the 14 Challenger 2s promised by Britain, would be enough to form an armored brigade or division, which is typically made up of around 2,000 personnel. However, this is only the first step in the process. It will take weeks or months to deliver the tanks, and even longer to train the crews and maintainers, provide storage and logistical support, and get the vehicles ready for battle. Using tanks alone is rarely effective in warfare, as the Russian forces discovered when they attempted to push south from Kievan Russes in the early weeks of the conflict. Tanks are vulnerable to being surrounded by infantry teams with anti-tank weapons, so it is essential that the Ukrainian military is equipped with infantry fighting vehicles, such as the American Bradley, the French AMX-10, and the German Marder, as well as artillery, air defense, and engineering assets. Currently, the Ukrainian army is largely reliant on old Soviet-era T-72 tanks, which are quite small and nimble, but lack significant armor. Overall, the addition of 200 Western tanks to the Ukrainian military will be a major boost to their forces, although it will take some time before they are ready to be used in combat. Nonetheless, this is a significant step in the right direction, and will be a major factor in the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. The T-72 tank, while it was a good tank when it was first designed in the 1970s, it has not seen many updates in terms of optics, guns, anti-tank guided weapons, and other pieces of equipment. This is why the lines of battle have been so static in the Ukraine conflict, as both sides have roughly the same number of forces and equipment, neither side being able to deliver that crucial knockout blow. The United States had previously donated $2.5 billion worth of military aid and equipment, taking their total investment in the war since it began last year up to $27 billion. However, they were reluctant to donate M1 Abrams tanks. Due to their neediness, they are fuel-heavy and require a lot of care and maintenance. It was decided that Leopard tanks would be a better option, as they have been exported to many countries, and so more are available. Germany was also reluctant to donate Leopard tanks, largely due to political reasons, as they did not want to be seen as the face of a military offensive against Russia. They insisted that they would not move until the United States donated Abrams tanks. The US eventually agreed, and the Leopard tanks were donated. Throughout the war, Russia has been threatening escalation and even the use of nuclear weapons, something which makes the West very uneasy due to the seriousness of the threat. This is largely because the use of battlefield nuclear weapons is part of Russian doctrine, as they are all that they can use to try and turn the tide of the war. In conclusion, donations of tanks and other military equipment to the Ukraine conflict will be a crucial factor in deciding who ultimately emerges victorious. The US and Germany have both contributed to the conflict, with the US donating military aid and equipment, and Germany donating Leopard tanks, but Russia continues to threaten escalation, including the use of nuclear weapons. It remains to be seen who will emerge victorious in the conflict. The Russian army that was present at the start of the conflict in the Donbas region is no longer there, as the casualties they have suffered number around 180,000. With no further tactical advances to be made in the area, the Russians are unable to progress the situation on the battlefield. In response to the Ukrainian side's gifting of tanks and other military vehicles, the Russians have resorted to talk of escalation as a means of asserting their position. The conflict has reached a stalemate, with the Russians unable to do much more than merely talk in terms of taking further action. This has been demonstrated in the very small tactical advances that have been made in the past few weeks in the town of Soledad, which can be seen as a last-ditch effort to gain ground. With the Russians unable to make any real advances, it is no surprise that they have chosen to use language of escalation in the face of the Ukrainian gifting of tanks and other military vehicles. This rhetoric may well be a way of providing the illusion that they are in control of the situation, but in reality, they have been unable to make any real progress in the conflict. The truth is that the Russian army has been unable to make any real progress in the Donbas region, and the gifting of tanks and other military vehicles from the Ukrainian side has only served to further highlight this fact. While the Russians may be able to talk in terms of escalation, this has not served to change the balance of power in the area, and they remain unable to make any significant advances. Despite their talk of escalation, it is clear that the Russians have reached a stalemate in the Donbas region, and their only hope lies in the hope that the situation is resolved through political negotiations. Until then, they are stuck in a state of limbo, unable to progress the conflict in any meaningful way.